Hillary Clinton is speaking to our Anderson Cooper about her new book, What Happened. In it, she ultimately takes responsibility for the 2016 presidential election loss. But she also is spreading a lot of blame to a lot of other people, including former FBI Director James Comey. Here's part of their conversation.
You said about Jim Comey that he shivved you.
Yes.
Which is a very, I mean, that's a strong word.
It is a strong word.
And it also implies that this was a personal, or that he was trying to get you.
He's never been clear about his motivation, and what bothered me the most as the time went on after the election is, and we learned more about the open FBI investigation into the Trump campaign and their connections with Russia. That had been going on for quite some time. The American people didn't know about it. He was specifically asked, why didn't you tell the American people about that investigation? And he said, well, because it was too close to an election. So ask yourself, a closed investigation that ended the prior July, an ongoing investigation into the Trump campaign and Russia, one deserves to be blown out of all proportion, nothing to be found one more time. And the American people don't have the information that there's a legitimate investigation going on about Trump and Russia before they vote.
Do you think it is personal?
I have no idea. I can't sit here and tell you. I know that there had to be some pressure on him because Rudy Giuliani announced 2 days before that letter came out that something big was coming in 2 days. And people have speculated, was he under pressure from Giuliani and others within the FBI or the broader law enforcement community? I don't speculate on it. I just talk about how really hard to understand it was and the impact that it had.
One of the things, though, that Director Comey gave for that press conference in July was the meeting that your husband had on the tarmac with the Attorney General Lynch. You write about it in the book, but what you don't mention in the book is what you said to your husband when you heard about that meeting.
I didn't hear about it for days because it was so inconsequential to both of them. And then when I heard about it, I didn't really think much of it. And I think this was a rationalization that was used for being able to do what he did. But, you know, what's important to me going forward is, as I say, I think it's important to focus on what happened because lessons can be learned. But the more important lessons that will affect our democracy going forward are not about him and his investigation. He, I think, forever changed history, but that's in the past. What's important is the fact that the Russians are still going at us. He himself admitted that before Congress. People I really respect, like Jim Clapper and John Brennan and others who knew what the Russians were doing, have been sounding the alarm. I will tell you this, Anderson, if I had been elected president under the same circumstances, so that, you know, I lost the popular vote, I squeaked through the Electoral College, and evidence came up that the Russians, for whatever reason, were trying to help me, I would have said on the first day in office, we're going to launch the most thorough investigation. No nation, particularly an adversary nation, can mess with our democracy. I would have had an independent commission. I would have done everything I could to get to the bottom of it, because it's not going to stop.
Well, Peter Mathews joins me now. He's a political analyst and professor of political science at Cypress College. So, Peter, this book, What Happened, allowing Hillary Clinton to get a lot off her chest, as you hear there with Anderson Cooper and all the other interviews she's been doing to promote the memoir. But let me ask you this, as a student of political science, does this book add anything meaningful when it comes to the public record?
There's some details that probably would be interesting to historians, etc. But overall, it's something that a candidate who lost would do. They would be introspective as to where we went wrong, what part of it was her own fault versus circumstance beyond her control. And I think that she tries to balance it. I think she blames a lot more other people than herself. But it's very interesting. I think it's just a book that's a memoir, and I'm not sure how much impact it'll have historically, but it certainly is something worth looking at and keeping for history.
As she has been sharing her feelings, her personal feelings on what happened in 2016, she's also made the point that she is not going anywhere. You know, she's not going to be a candidate again, but she's not going to retire to the shadows.
That's right. She's established an organization that's supposed to promote other candidates, younger candidates, to bring them up on the ladder. And she wants to be involved in politics.
Okay.
That's her life.
And if you're in the Democratic Party and she's there and the specter of Hillary Clinton continues to loom large, I mean, what does it mean for the party?
It might actually put a damper on some of the newer candidates, or even others who may run and could actually consider winning and running. They may consider, well, will she step in any time and maybe jump in a second time around? We don't know, because candidates can change their mind any time, right? They can say, we're not running right now, and then maybe they'll do it again. So she has to make it clear that she's not going to run. If she's not going to run, she has to make it clear that she's there to help the party win based on going back to its core values, and to be passionate, and to have the party have a vision, and to have articulate that, which I think Bernie Sanders has been helping to do, and his allies in the party have been doing quite well. And she needs to come aboard and support that all the way if we're going to have if the Democrats are going to have a winning ticket next time around.
All right, well, let's talk about the man who is in the White House, Donald Trump.
Yes.
He has been schmoozing with people on Hillary Clinton's side of the street, with Democrats.
Yes.
Having dinner with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leaders, on Wednesday night, and word has emerged, at least from the Democrats, that they have struck a deal on DACA, which is the Obama-era regulation that saved young people brought to this country illegally, saved them from deportation. They're saying they've got a deal, and they've also, it's part of some arrangement on border security that doesn't involve the wall. We shall see the details of the wall in the hours to come, but will there be much wailing and gnashing of teeth among Republicans to see this president once again go down the road of making a deal with Democrats?
Yes, it's not just the fact he's making a deal with the opposite party, but it's actually splitting his own party. This issue of illegal immigration and how to deal with it really has the Republicans on both sides of the fence. Some Republicans are for a path to citizenship. Others are saying, no way, these are illegal folks, and we have to have a wall. And Trump's base of support was the people who supported the wall. That was one of his main platform issues, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
So
was.
now he's shifting back and forth, and it doesn't strengthen the party overall.
All right, he's in the White House. Let's talk about someone who has left the White House.
Yes.
Sean Spicer, former White House press secretary. Take a listen to him. He's made his debut on late-night television.
If you want to ask about policy or a particular instance, but to get up there and question, you know, on day one, my integrity, I think, was not something that I anticipated.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Although when you brought that crowd size thing out, it like you opened this terrible Pandora's box. Do you think that's what got you off to like a kind of a bad start with the press corps?
I don't think it was probably the best start. No.
Sean Spicer doing his own version of what happened.
Yes. He had a mouthful. He couldn't say anything. Couldn't get it out, could he? He's on the spot there.
I mean, seriously, I mean, again, back to your expertise. I mean, now you may leave the White House, but, you know, you still stay in the spotlight. There is another chapter. And, I mean, I'm not to say that other people who've left other administrations haven't had, you know, second acts, but these happen pretty quickly.
Amazingly quickly, with so many of them in and out in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, few months. Spicer's out in how many, 8 months? And here he is saying that, you know, his problem was he was saying things that he did not believe were true, and yet he had to say it as a press secretary, I suppose. And he was in a very bad, so he might be happy and relieved that he's out of there by now, you can think.
Yeah.
Because he was in a very prickly situation there.
So do you want to put some money, or would you like to hazard a guess as to what he will do when he leaves?
I think SNL might pick him up for his own, to be his own character as opposed to an actress, right?
We shall see. We never know. Peter, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Always a pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right.